Hello, my name is Rob Tippett. I am a teacher at Horsehaven Hills Middle School in Kennewick, Washington, and I have been teaching for 7 years, primarily in special education, but I just moved to gen ed this year. I started education because I enjoy teaching and I like working with students. I've had many other jobs in the world, and they don't provide the same sense of satisfaction that teaching does. I have no idea how kids are different 30 years ago to today. Obviously, I was a kid. I could comment on the use of technology and, maybe some disciplinary issues. But I think overall, kids are pretty much the same. They're still developing. They're still growing in the same way. It just takes, my generation or teachers, we are responsible for figuring out ways to teach every kid. I have no idea how teaching is different than 30 years ago. Truthfully, I would say that the technology is probably the biggest impact, especially with the pandemic that we've had in the last year and a half or 2 years almost. Technology has become huge. I'd consider myself an early adapter, so I typically use technology even before the pandemic. To tell somebody that is thinking of becoming a teacher, I would say do it. But get into the classroom first. Be a paraeducator if you can afford to do something like that. Volunteer at a school. If you have kids in the school, volunteer. Ask if you can come into the classroom and work with the kids. But get into the classroom first because this job, while it's very rewarding, it's also high stress and we see a lot of turnover. So I would recommend before making the leap into education that you get into the classroom in some capacity or work in the school in some capacity because it will help you choose your route in education. Especially if you're thinking of being an elementary teacher, you should check out middle school and high school before you're a teacher. One thing I would change to help kids learn better, my personal philosophy is that people learn what they want to learn, and you just have to figure out how to be engaging to all students, which is kind of challenging when you have 30 kids in your classroom. I would say the one thing that I would change to help kids learn better would be to reduce classroom size. It's so critical that we bring the class sizes down to a reasonable level. 1 to 20. So one teacher to 20 students would be ideal, but no more than 1 to 24. Kids need individual attention while they're learning. They need to feel safe and they need to have the ability to learn at their pace. And you can't do that when you're competing with 29 other students or in some cases 32 other students. So I would say the one thing that I would change to help kids learn better is I would reduce classroom sizes.